Okay, breaks over. Starting at 1 and going up to some number. Parameter that you count up to. For loop and an else chain. 4 from this to that. If this, then do that. If this, then do that. If it's divisible by both 3 and 5, doesn't that mean it's divisible by, does that mean it's divisible by 15? So like, it seems like that's the answer. We at least need a program. And we need a function called fizzbuzz. And we'll pass in test num, and we'll say 45. Okay. We need to protect this header file, that way it can only be included into this file any given file one time. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. So it's a void function. And it takes an int count to num. Oops, this is our for declaration. To resolve any type discrepancies between the for declaration and the definition, we include the header file. Okay. We're going to include this guy here as well. We also need input and output here. Oh. This works. We just need to implement the functionality now. And so we'll count from, do we start at, what do we do? We start at 1? Okay, so we start at 1. And we increment up in each time if that number is, if the number is remainder with 3. If it's 3 and 5, we'll print this. If not, if it's 3, we'll do that. If it's 5, we'll do that. And otherwise, we do nothing. And otherwise, we just output the number. Okay, I think we do 4. Start num. We start at 1. And while start num is less than count to num, we'll do stuff, and then we'll increment the start num. Or we're going to say current num, current num, current num. Okay. So we count from the start. I want to make this no longer magical. Go comment. Okay. And we will say if current num modulo, or sorry, remainder 15 is 0, we will output fizzbuzz otherwise if current num, oh, we could do we do switch? Would we not want to do switch for some reason? Why not? Oh, because that would be comparing specific values, not, well, yeah, no, we wouldn't want to. This is, if is better here, because we're not, the switch is for when we're giving dialogue options and it's A, B, C, or D. Let's say it's whatever it is. It's like 57, 58, 59, 60, something like that, whatever. We're comparing 4 numbers and it's always, those are always the answers. That doesn't work here because we don't know what the num is. The num could be a bajillion. In modulus, we don't know what the remainder is. We don't know this shit. So it makes sense that it's just if else instead, or an if else statement. Articulated better. A switch would be a cumbersome way of doing an if-else statement where we would have switch, and the switch would have to be the result of the modulo, or of the remainder. And it would be true or false. Well, you may as well just do an if statement there, because we're checking whether something is true or false. That is the thing that we would be switching on. So in this case, we may as well, we're just dealing with true or false, not a bunch of different values. So we may as well just do this. And we're actually comparing different things, whether they're true and false. So we would actually have multiple switches. So we would have, if this is true, true to this, true case do this, false case do this. This, switch, true case do this, false case do this, and then this. Yeah, it doesn't work. So if it is not, if the remainder of 15 is not 0, it's not divisible by 3 and 5, which means if it's divisible by 5, it's not both. So if it's divisible by 5, it's not divisible by 3. We've already checked. And then we'll output. So fizz is 3, and this is buzz. So buzz is for 5. Or remainder 3 is 0. Then we'll output fizz. And then else, whatever the number is. So for each one, we'll either do this, or this, or this, or this. And then after, I mean, we may as well just include it, right? Do we just include the end line part each time? I feel like it's not that cumbersome. Okay. I'm going to try and be more careful with my submissions. So we'll start at 1. We go to that. So we start with 1. Not divisible by 15, nor 5, nor 3. So we just output 1. And then increment. Okay. 2, okay, same shit. 3, not divisible by 15. So the remainder here is 12. Nope. Remainder here is 2. Nope. Remainder here is 0. Oh! Fizz. Increment. Okay, it feels right. And then right now we're doing 45. Oh my god. Oh! Why was I doing bitwise? Fizz, buzz, fizz, fizz, buzz, fizz, fizz, buzz, fizz. Yeah, I don't see anything divisible by 3s here. 7, that's 4. Oh, and up and, oops, I did another one off. Oopsies. We want to go up through there. Okay. Check some answerings. 1, 2, fizz, buzz, fizz. Fizz, buzz, fizz, fizz, buzz. Cool. Sounds good to me. Oh, and then we need more stuff. Okay. Modify it so that divisible by 7 is pop. Run it for 150 iterations, meaning we'll do it for 150. And I could add modulo 7. Oh, meaning so instead of fizzbuzz, by both is fizzbuzz. It feels like you could have multiple answers here, but here we go. Yeah, because we'd have to find, so if it's divisible by 3 times 5 times 7, 3 times 5 is 15, 15 times 7, yeah, it wouldn't be divisible, but maybe it is, maybe that number's in there, it's like 128 or something. Optimize it so only 4 are used, 1 for each, and then 1 for that. Oh, so we are actually doing, we're including both. Fizzbuzz pop. Oh, so we're not doing an if else anymore, we're just doing an if. Okay. We'll just change this guy to be 7. And this is pop. And if do we want them to be in a certain order? Maybe. Fizzbuzz pop. But now we don't want them to have this extra bit. We want to end the line after. Because we don't know how many of them there are going to be. Okay. If we're divisible by 3, we always do fizz. 5 is buzz. 7 is pop. If not divisible by any, we do this. And we also end the line. We could end the line here and then have this be at the end of each of them. But no, we wouldn't. We would do... Oh, sorry. if this, if this, if this. We wouldn't want to do an if else each time here though, because I'm thinking this else is going to join the last if statement here. This might be a bad way of doing it, but we could say if current num zero or remainder 5 is 0 or 7 is 0, do this, else do that, and then end the line after. Just in case, for precedence. What do the answers look like? 1, 2, fizz, buzz, fizz, 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 fizz. Pop? Why did that say pop? Was this dude tripping? Oh, because it's the old one. Okay, here we go. So 4, buzz, fizz, pop, 8, 19, buzz, fizz, pop, 22, 104, fizz, buzz, pop, 106. Cool. Okay. So the answer is correct. But the point is this. We only want to print the current number if none of these are true. I would like to have this be flattened, so it's just if this, if this, if this. But if I put this right after, then it's only going to print the num if not pop. Or not if it's not divisible by 7. But we want it to print this if it's not divisible by any of them. So we want to check to see, is it any of them? If it is, if this is true, we know that it's we're not going to print the number. We're going to do at least one of these. And then we're going to check to see which one actually. Kind of like how a guy was describing, excuse me, an efficient way of doing collisions for weapons in Unreal Engine, or just in general. Instead of having collisions that are extremely expensive and every single frame are drawn to match the character exactly where they are, instead we have just bubbles that are close, but they're bubbles. They aren't drawn accurately, because if the arm bends properly, then maybe this one has to shrink up and this one has to come, like, it's extremely complicated for those. Or like for the fingers, if they bend, then they have to shrink. How about we just have it so that it follows them? Maybe it gets smaller when they bend, but just kind of leave it as it is. Probably leave it as a hand. The hand has its own hitbox. And it might get smaller and the box might be a little too big, but it's close. So you could have that. You could have... actually, you could have ones that are pretty small and as close as they could get. But then you have bigger ones in general. And you detect if a hit hits the general arm hitbox, and if it does, then you go and you check the individual ones. That way, whenever any hit comes in, you only have to check the big ones. Did it hit this, 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 or this, whatever. And I don't think you actually even have to do that. I think you can just set these collisions and then have an event so that when something collides, then it happens. That way we're listening, but we're not checking every single one of them. We're just waiting for one of them to be contacted. And when one of them is contacted, instead of having an event for every single one of them, you branch them into a hierarchy. So instead of having one blueprint that has, or instead of having the character and the character having all, let's say there's hand 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 hitboxes, instead of having 15 different events waiting for each one, maybe it's better. I don't know if that's really true, because these are already pretty small, but maybe we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We cut them in half, and if you hit this one, then we check to see if it was actually the head or the neck. If you hit this one, then we check to see. Maybe it's better to do them individually. Maybe it's better to actually have an event for each one, and we have an else statement for each one of them, just like that. Is it better to evaluate current I feel like it's got to be better to just have the else statement. If it's this, let me do that. Well, hold on. Because we also need the inline. No, because we only want this to happen. Wait, whoa, I was going stupid mode for a second. Hold on, I was being way too accepting. No, we only want this to print if none of them. So it's not if this, else this, or this, else this, or this, else this. It's none of them. So we need to check to see, is it any of them? Yes? We're not printing the number. No, it's not any of them. It's not this, or this, or this, or not this, and not this, and not this. Then we print the number. And if it is this, or this, or this, then we print each one of them. For what? Why is yours so long? 30 lines. And mine's 15. What? Oh, and if not printed. So we have another variable. And if any of those is true, we do this for each number. So there'll be a number and we'll check, did we print it? Did we print it? Did we print it? That way we're saying if this, well, each time we're checking, each time, if this we're assigning it to be true, if this we're also assigning it to be true, and if this we're also assigning it to be true. So it could be assigned to be true, assigned to be true again, assigned to be true again, and then we're not doing this. I prefer my solution, is what it is. Bro, what in the hell? How about use his examples and look at the data and ask the qualifying question and don't go hardcore for no reason. Yeah, bro, what? Hold on. What is this guy doing? Let's see. Okay, these numbers are trash. What the fuck is even happening here? Look at my shit, huh? Look at this. So we have a constant expression number that can't change that's evaluated at compile time and substituted for this number. And we have a namespace called fizzbuzz. Within it is a function called fizzbuzz. Okay, we don't know what fizzbuzz is just yet. Well, what fizzbuzz does is I don't like having this shit above it. Prints the number. If not, or prints fizz or buzz or pop, if depending on divisibility, or prints the number. Excuse me. So the current number, which is 1, while current number is less than or equal to the number we're counting, the counting to number, we do stuff, and then we increment the current num. We're counting through the current num. Okay. So if we're divisible by one of these, we check 1, 2, or 3. This seems like it's so much better. Instead of checking, assigning, checking, or checking. Wait, this is fine, because this is literally checking. Do this, if false for each of those. Instead of checking. Oh, but the trues are more, I think his trues are more efficient. Because for this, evaluate, and then evaluate. So if one of these is true, granted, if we do this, then we don't have to do the others. So, but the least efficient it could be is if something's divisible by 7, we have evaluated current num 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times just to do this, and then not that. But for his case, if it's 7, he's evaluated once, twice, thrice, done, and that's it. Probably makes sense to reduce the amount of evaluations if possible. So instead of this, and this, and this, we simply check if not printed. And for this, we have bool named printed. If that, okay, so this needs to be multiple lines. Printed is true. Nice, it brings them to the same number or the same line. That's good. Track if printed, because if not printed, print the or track if printed, or let's see, track if printed. Only print the num if not printed, i.e. if not divisible by any. Same shit. Cool. Oh, 105 is divisible by 7. So it's 10. So it's 15 times 7. Okay. So now we say it's divisible by 3. We print fizz and then say that it has been printed. If it's not divisible by here, yeah, so we only have to, the only time there's redundancy is when things are continually divisible. Because if it's true and then this is false, we haven't done this. And if it's false, we haven't done this. But if it's true, then technically we are overriding this again. And we could have another thing where we evaluate if not printed. But maybe that's already, maybe this is kind of redundant. Like if not printed. If not printed. Like this. Like maybe that's not the best way, but maybe it is, because that way we could say to remove redundancy for 7. For 7, 3, and 5. So 15 times 7. Okay, yeah, so 105 seems like the first answer here. So we've printed fizz, and we set printed to be true. This is also true, so we'll say buzz, but it has already been printed, so we're not going to do this. So we evaluate this instead of assigning something to it. And then same thing here. The question is evaluating this is evaluating a Boolean. Yeah, we're just evaluating whether something that's known is true instead of moving things around and assigning things. It seems like checking memory and looking at it is less intensive than fucking with memory. Hence, that's why we do string view instead of string when we are trying to look at standard strings to avoid copying them. Seems like that's a good option. Okay. Break and continue. I've never seen continue before. Cool. All right, take a little breaksy.